everyone, welcome back to WHU TV. My name is John, your host as always, and I hope you're all doing well as I always do. This is the first of 3 videos that I talked about in the previous videos that I've done in the last week or so. If you haven't caught any of those, then by all means please click in the card up here for the FA Cup third round reaction video. And also towards the end of the video there's going to be my tips for David Moyes as to improve West Ham. But basically within those videos, well, more specifically the FA Cup rounds pre-reaction video, I said that I'll be doing 3 videos looking into the West Ham squad, and this is exactly what this video is. We're going to be concentrating on the goalkeepers and defence, my thoughts on these players. And because at the end of the day, guys, I really can't see any money being spent in the January transfer window, bearing in mind the amount of money that was spent in the summer, unless the usual West Ham tactics come in and it's one out, one in sort of thing. So, as always, guys, this video is sponsored by the channel sponsor, 3retro.com. Please click the link in the description below that will take you directly through to the West Ham section of their website, where you can purchase some really nice retro shirts, guys. But as you can see from the icon that's up here somewhere, there, I think. Where is it? I've done this plenty of times. I should know by now. You can also purchase track jackets, polo shirts, sweatshirts and t-shirts made by Admiral and Umbro, and any purchases you make through the link in the description below, the commission that the channel would normally be getting, I'll be sending directly onto the charity Iron Supporting Food Banks, who are based in the Newham area and helping those in the Newham area and the Essex County, and also slightly further afield of that as well, to put food on their tables in this very difficult time that we're all facing at the moment and have done for a good few years. So go grab yourself a really nice retro shirt or a very nice polo. You'll be helping those that are less fortunate than you and I, and you'll be saving yourself a few quid in comparison by buying the same thing from West Ham. So there you go. Now, apologies if I feel a little bit distracted, guys. I've had to start looking for another job because unfortunately I lost my old job beforehand. I wasn't very happy there, which is one of the reasons why it's happened. I didn't fall out with anyone or nothing, but it was just the fact that I just couldn't be bothered, to be honest with you. It's unusual for me. But anyway, so if I'm distracted, and I have been distracted because I've already filmed this video, was going through the editing stage and realised, shit, I've missed a player out. So I've had to go back and do it all over again. Don't you love that? Don't you just love real life? Anyway, there's timestamps in the description below, so if you haven't got the time to watch this video all in one go, then by all means, other than those who watch the premiere, of course, for those that are watching it once it's fully uploaded and the premiere is finished, there's links in the description for timestamps, so you can jump ahead to what you hear my thoughts on each individual player. But I hope you're going to stay around for the majority of the video, which I'm going to try and keep to under 25 minutes as much as I can, because there's a lot to discuss. Okay, so let's talk about the goalkeepers, as I said, and we're going to do this in alphabetical order. That's the only reason why it's in there. And of course, the first player we're going to talk about is Areola. Now, 29 years old, 6'3", 295 appearances in all competitions, 121 clean sheets in those appearances, and with an average of a clean sheet every 2.44 games. As we know, we made his transfer permanent in the summer. He was on loan with us last season as the backup goalkeeper to Fabianski, and what a season he had in the League Cup and the FA Cup, and more specifically the Europa Conference League. And again, he's been making those appearances as well. He did make a few appearances in the Premier League last season, and I don't think he's made any yet. I can't remember if he has or not. But of course, we know him from Fulham from the season before that, before he became on loan with us last season. To be honest with you guys, from what I've seen of him over the last 2.5 seasons now, I've been very impressed with him. Very, very impressed. The kid has a lot to answer. Has got a lot of potential ahead of him, I should say. And he's only 29, so it's not exactly going to be a masterclass in decisions, is it? At the end of the day, he's the tallest out of the goalkeepers. And out of the 3 goalkeepers we've got, his distribution is the best. He's much quicker to clear the ball, as well as much. You know, he's just not as panicky as Fabianski seems to be sometimes, which we'll go into in a minute. But as I say, just for me, 100% we keep this guy. I mean, even if we'd have signed him on permanent last season, I still would say absolutely keep him. He's such a good, he's got, as I said, he's such a good potential, such a good prospect. The other cliches that pop up in football, but I really, really do. He is definitely one for the future. Now, the current goalkeeper, Fabianski. 37 years old, 6'2", 495 appearances in all competitions, and 125 clean sheets in all those competitions. But unfortunately, that means that his clean sheet ratio is a clean sheet every 3.96, so practically every fourth game. Not a ratio we need. Now, at the same point, I love him. I do. Fabianski's fantastic. I was very against him. I've said this many times. I was very against him when we signed him from Swansea when they got relegated. But he was their best player. And as a result of it, he's done some brilliant work with us. Unbelievable. Do I think he's going to be here for next season or so? I hope so. But again, as I said last season, this really, really needs to be the season for Areola to come into the fold and become the number one. He's had a handful of games, as I said, in the Premier League. He as I said, he did fantastically well for Fulham, kept them up as long as he possibly could, and from that point of view. And yeah, so guys, as always, put your comments in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on every single player we're talking about. And the final out of the three goalkeepers is Darren Randolph. 35 years old, 6'1", 445 appearances in all competitions, 130 clean sheets, with a clean sheet average of 1 clean sheet every 3.42 games. Now, we love him from his first stint when he was in competition with Adrian. Obviously, he left and came back. I've not really seen much of him. Clean sheet ratio is the better out of the two in terms of Fabianski and him, but I do think we should sell him. I really do think we should sell him if that option's available, and bring in a better backup to Areola more than anything else. I love Randolph. As I say, we've got some very good memories with him, but at the same point, guys, we've got to look to the build for the future. Yes, he's only a couple of years behind Randolph, behind Fabianski, but I can't see Darren getting anywhere closer to the starting 11 at all, unless both goalkeepers come down with horrendous injuries. I just can't see it, and as a result, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we do sell him in January to try and get some money back, and hopefully just try and bring a replacement in that's slightly younger and has got a bit more potential. Okay, guys, so now let's turn over to the defenders. So again, keeping it in alphabetical order, we are now going to be talking about Aguerd, or Aguerd, depending on your pronunciation of it. He's 26 years old, he's 6'1", 200 appearances, 38 clean sheets, with an average clean sheet ratio of once every 5.26 games. His average successful passes are 93.66%. That's phenomenal for a defender. Now, I'm not going to say buy him or sell him, keep him or sell him, because we haven't seen an entire season of him yet. We've only seen a handful of games since he came back from injury. Obviously, Aguerd getting injured in the transfer, at the start of the pre-season against Rangers really, really hampered the club's plans, because I do genuinely think if Aguerd hadn't have picked up that injury, we would no longer have one of our other centre-backs that we're going to come on in a minute. So already, Moyes was on the back foot with his plans for the season by having this brand new defender out. And it was an issue from that point of view. As I say, I'm not going to criticise him or compliment him that much. From what I have seen of him, he does look very, very good. He needs to learn a little bit. He looked a bit shaky and a bit out of confidence when he came back from an injury in the Europa Conference League games that he's played. But at the same point, I do think, he seems to be doing okay for Morocco. These stats were put together before the Morocco game the other night. But I do think that he's looking very, very good for the future. Now, second player on the books, Vladimir Coufal, 30 years old, 5'8", 360 appearances, 137 clean sheets, which means his average ratio of a clean sheet per performance is once every 2.62 games, and an average successful passing rate of 47%. Now, I know why people get the ump with him. I get it. I completely understand why people were getting really, really frustrated with him. He has got better this season, as I've said many times. His balls into the box are better. He's standing up to players better than he did last season. But at the same point, I do think we need to have somebody better there. I can't think of anybody that springs to mind to have to be there. Guys, if you can, put your comments in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts of who you'd like to see being brought in as a replacement of Vladimir. But I just he wears his heart on the sleeve. He loves the club. He loves the way the play. You know, he loves London by the looks of it as well. It's just right back again is becoming an issue, and I generally started the season thinking, and the majority of last season thinking, we're okay for right backs. We really, really are, but we're not, and it's painful. But let's move on to the other side of the pitch now. Aaron Cresswell, 32 years old, 5'5", 529 appearances, 135 clean sheets out of those appearances in all competitions. That's obviously including all the previous clubs that he's played for, with an average of 1 clean sheet every 3.91 games. So basically just under 4. So not a clean sheet ratio that far off of excuse me, of Coufal, unfortunately. But at the same point, you know, his average successful passing rate is 86.37%. Mad! He's a left back. You know, some of our midfielders and wingers don't get that much. You know, obviously because that one of the reasons for that is Cresswell loves to bomb down the left-hand flank. We know that. He's scored some brilliant goals over the seasons. He's set up some fantastic goals as well. He's been played, albeit you can argue out of necessity, under every manager from and including the times of Sam Allardyce. So it's not bad from that point of view. But I don't agree with the comments that Frank McAvenny said that he's awful. I know the cloud is hanging over him from the Europa League last season about being sent off a couple of times when he shouldn't have done. But at the same point, guys, you know, I do think we need to keep him around for just a little bit more. But we do need that again. A left-sided defender, stroke left back is really what we need to be focusing on at some point. Again, I can't see it unless we sell him. I can't see one coming in unless we sell him, but there we go. Now, the next defender we're going to talk about is Craig Dawson, 32 years old, 6'1", 457 appearances in all competitions for all clubs, 105 clean sheets, meaning his average is a clean sheet every 5.35 games, which is awful when you look at it from that point of view. And that's the website that I got this information from, Footy Stats. It's very, very detailed. I don't want to overload you guys with details, but his successful passing average percentage is 58, which is okay for a defender. It is okay. It's not brilliant. I mean, obviously, of course, he has put Kehrer in Perez's position at least once this season against Leicester at home, if I remember correctly, or Newcastle was one of the two. You know, but yeah, it's going to pain me to say it, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if we do sell him, because as I just mentioned in the conversion when we were talking about Aguerd, Dawson wants to go back up north. His family's up there. He's happy with the club, but he's not happy with the travel that he needs to do. And fair play. I totally get it. Totally understand why he would want to do that. But at the same point, guys, you know, you've got to look at the personal situation over the professional for a lot of the time. You know, and it would be a shame to see Big Craig go. You know, because we've had some fantastic memories with him. He scored some brilliant goals in the Europa League last season. He's made some phenomenal clearances already this season for the games that he's played. But I do think the club need to cash in on him, because he is riding that peak of his best at the moment, and we need to start doing that. We don't really sell players at the peak at their best. We really start to sell players when they're on the peripherals of the squad. But yeah, I'll be sad if Dawson goes. You know, obviously he was linked to Villa and Wolves in the summer transfer window. Things were hotting up, and of course since then, both clubs have changed managers. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if he's not on. So I would be at all surprised if he's not on their transfer target list still. Now let's talk about new centre back as well, Thilo Kehrer, 26 years old, 6'1", 324 appearances in all competitions, 134 clean sheets, meaning his average clean sheet ratio is once every 2.42 games, and an 88.67% average successful passing rate. Very, very good. Very, very good from that point of view. Kehrer is a young man. Now, I know he's come under a lot of criticism this season, and the majority of it is justified, but some of it isn't. It really, really isn't. You can see, as I said, he's got a lot to learn. I've said many times he's got a lot to learn. He's learning all the time. He's it's his first season, so we have to give him grace on that. Of course, the first game of the season at home against Man City, Zouma put him in an unperilous situation, which should never have happened. And he conceded the penalty right at the start, so of course everybody latched on that. And likewise with, as I mentioned, with Dawson's ridiculous pass up to Kehrer, hitting it with venom towards him. He shouldn't have done that in any shape or form. Kehrer lost the ball, and we conceded relatively straight after. And to Dawson's credit, he did look upset at himself that happened, but when it was Leicester, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Leicester. But it's just, we have to give him time at the end of the day. And I won't say anything other than that until the end of the season, because we've got to judge him properly. Now, the next player we need to bring in, for some reason I haven't put his age in, but I think he's in his mid to late 20s, 28 if I remember correctly. I think Emerson, I think you pronounced that. 196 appearances, 85 clean sheets, meaning a clean sheet ratio of once every 2.3 games, and an 80.34% average successful pass rate. Again, very, very good stats. We can understand from one point of view why Chelsea sold him. He is very inconsistent. He is very Masuaku-esque for a lot of his time. But at the same point, guys, again, he's a new signing, so I'm not going to make any judgment on him from that point of view. But he needs to learn still the West Ham way. He really does. He's getting better. He has made some very, very good performances, but I do think he needs to up his game a little bit. Which brings us quite nicely round to a player that really fucking needs to up his game. Is Ben Johnson, 22 years old, 5'7", so a lot smaller than I thought he was going to be. Ogbonna was Coufal was a lot smaller than I thought he was as well, as was Cresswell. It's ridiculous that Cresswell's under 6 foot. It's mad. It looks much taller. But anyway, so 147 appearances for West Ham and all other competitions. 8 clean sheets, which his clean sheet ratio is an abysmal 18.38% average. So once every 18.38 games. It's terrible. And his average successful passing rate is 49%, which is not bad for a defender. Now, of course, we all remember his breakthrough season when he was at left back for Man City when Cresswell was injured 3 seasons ago now. He can play right back. He's been played in the right wing back position. He's played in the centre back position. And it pains me to say this about my neighbour, because he literally is a few roads down the road, few doors down. And Ben, if you're watching this, apologies, mate, but I've got to be honest. He probably isn't. He probably isn't. But yeah, he has to get better. He has to get better. That Liverpool goal that we conceded in the first goal was just, he was at fault. I'm sorry, but he was. He didn't stand up. He wasn't strong enough against it. And of course, he's culpable, but no more than the other 3 or 4 defenders that were running for the ball just before the goal went in. But I'm sorry, but we want to have our academy players graduating properly and cement themselves in the first team, and Johnson's doesn't look capable of doing that. Neither does Harrison Ashby, unfortunately, which isn't on this list, because I said we weren't really going to touch on the juniors. He's not really mentioned as a first team player. From that point of view, I don't really consider him yet as a first team player. And Ashby looks like he's going to go in January as well. There's obviously big links to Newcastle because his agent is the same agent as Eddie Howe's. So you can argue from one point of view that's quite lazy linkage from that point of view. But at the same point, yeah, guys, he has to do better. He has to do better. I'm sorry, I don't want to say it, but you have to do. He has to be more at his game. As I say, his clean sheet ratio is abysmal. Now, the penultimate player we're going to talk about is Angelo Ogbonna, 34 years old, 6'2", 454 appearances in all competitions throughout his career, 132 clean sheets from those, with an average clean sheet ratio of once every 3.43 games, with a 48.66% average successful passing rate. Now, Oggy is my favourite. He has been since the Bilic days. He really has. Again, been picked since the Bilic days. Granted, that's only really 2 other managers, but still, absolutely love the fact that when was it the first season at the London Stadium, if I remember correctly, we were fighting relegation, and we were clear with a game or so to go, and Ogbonna ended up having surgery on his back. He was playing throughout that entire season and probably the season beforehand with a bad back injury and was phenomenal then. Had his surgery, a little bit ropey here and there, but in general has been an absolute stalwart since we've had him on the books. Really coming to the end of his career now, and what better team to play for when you're coming towards the end of your career than West Ham in the football that we're playing. Not just the Premier League, but the Europa League and Conference League games as well. It's just, I hate to say it, I don't want to say he's kind of coming towards the end of his career, but he is. He really is. His injuries are really catching up with him, and it's a real shame that he's in that position. But again, we have to build for the future, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if we do sell him at some point, because he is still at the pinnacle of his game. But yeah, we need a younger, better centre back than him. I love him to bits. I said I absolutely love him. He's been my hammer of the season for a good few seasons now. He really has, and especially up in the top 3. And as a result of it, I do feel it is time for him to go from that point of view, because as I said earlier, we need to cash in on players, especially with him at the outlay and the debt that the clubs got and had respectively. We need to sell him as soon as possible and bring in a better replacement, which is probably not going to happen until the summer anyway, because I know he's coming towards the end of his contract with us. I think it's out this season or next. So the final player we need to talk about is Kurt Zouma, 28 years old, 6'2", 349 appearances in all competitions throughout his career, and 117 clean sheets during his career, meaning a clean sheet ratio of 1 clean sheet every 2.98 games, basically once every 3 games, and an average successful passing rate of 80.67%. Phenomenal. He's such a good player. Cat shit aside, such a good player. It's proven everybody wrong again for the second season in a row now. I have been saying for the majority of this season that he is injury prone. He's had a bad knee. I've said it many times. He was terrible in the Man City game. Like I said, he put Kehrer in a perilous position that caused the first goal, and he put Rice in a position that Rice and Zouma put the defence in a perilous position for the second goal against Man City. If we'd have played, and he has been limping about for the majority of the season. I've been saying it on the watch-alongs. I've been saying it for weeks and months, and I'm very glad that with this World Cup break that the club have taken the time to have that surgery done. And I don't want him to be rushed back. I really don't. But it's a possibility he's going to have to, given the perilous position we are in the table at the minute. It's very hard, because I love Kurt. He's brilliant. He's such a good player. I was over the moon when we signed him from Chelsea summer before last. Absolutely fantastic player, and he's proven his worth. Really has proven his worth. He just needs to get himself back into fitness. He just needs to sort out those errors that he makes. Once we have that, I've said it before. I said at the start of the season as well. We've got a phenomenal back 4 ratio if everybody is up to their game, and it stands for me. So really, only the players out of this really that I can only really see leaving before the end of the January transfer window is Ashby, Johnson, maybe Dawson. That's about it. I don't think we're going to get much more than probably 10-12 million for the 3, if that. Maybe 15 max for the 3. Most of that's probably going to be Dawson. And then, as of course, I say, we need to bring in another centre back as a result. It'd be nice if we can bring in a competition for the left back position properly, and who could also play out on the right side as well, to give Coufal and Johnson competition if they're not sold. But yeah, it's going to be tricky, guys. But as always, thank you very much for sticking with me. I've just lasted it under 25 minutes. It's literally just clicked 24 in the few seconds. So thank you very much for your time. Put your comments in the comment section below. Like, share and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'll see you very soon. All the best now. Take care.